Clear your throat. It's time to go.
Oh, should I go take a line hit and come?
Nope, it's too late for that, brother. We're live right now. Welcome back to 3WORLDS. Why 3? Well, that would be yours, mine, and Kwabla right there. Who's Kwabla? Well, it's time to go digging. I'll put some links to our earlier chats right below us. But he's a friend from Twitter who we've started a new dynamic conversation. But before we get there, Kwabla, how have you been, my man?
Great, my brother. How are you?
You know what? I got no complaints. The world is loud, but here we are. So I think we're doing it right.
Well, if you complain, you're just wasting your time.
Good man.
Yeah.
Let's see. To start out, boom. Last time we were talking, you said that our conversations were taking shape. What would you say is the brand of what we're doing here?
Well, Cujo, from all I have believed in my life growing up is, the strength from within, finding oneself from within itself, from which I believe that all creativity is born. I mean, you become the source of your own supply, of your own energy. So clearly, if you as an individual think from that perspective, and I from a whole different world also think from that perspective, then clearly we would have defined our strength as individuals and then look at what that is in terms of resource and what we want to achieve with it. So for me, the element that constitute all of these things is authenticity, for which I believe that it is required in every foundation to ensure sustainability. Otherwise, I mean, how far, if you want to put together, a building and you don't take into fine consideration what the foundation should be, I mean, how do you even put up the building?
Brick number 1, authenticity. Brick number 2, sustainability. Am I right?
Most definitely.
Kwabla from Ghana. And of course, I'm your other host for this evening's chat. And of course, my name is Cujo, but it's also a Ghanese name. Am I saying that right?
Ghanaian.
Ghanaian, thank you.
All right.
If I call myself Cujo over in Ghana, what are people gonna think about that?
Well, like I told you, Kwabla means I am born on Tuesday. And Cujo means you are born on Monday. And clearly, if you went to Ghana and then you mention your name, Cujo, it will lead to one ethnic group, which is the Ewe group from the Volta region in Ghana. So you're a Ghanaian, my brother.
I like to hear that I got family over there. It's good to hear. The previous 3 chats, we've explored culture. We arrived at Western culture and how kind of it's an external force that takes the power away from you. But since that chat, you've been to Washington, D.C., am I right?
Yes, sir.
And you had thoughts about things. What was the reason why you went to D.C.?
Well, Cujo, before I proceed answering that question, if I may, there's something important on my heart I want to share, which is the appreciation of humanity, the human. I have come from Africa 4 years ago. My wife and I met, my beautiful wife, of course, and she has shown me something that nobody on this planet has shown me before. The feeling of love, somebody loving you without expectation. It is the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced as a man, throughout those years. And I feel that I want to place respect on all of these things, and then extending that respect to the mom, Janet Jacqueline Barnes, the sister Lisa, Shelley, Diane, Mike. They have taken me as, a brother, a son, and a husband. And it's the most beautiful experience I've ever had. And I feel like I should just mention it. I don't know how many people put premium on this, but it is the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced.
Well, I've worked with a lot of people, and quite honestly, nobody's sent as many good vibes my way as you have. So don't ever stop giving people love. I appreciate you, my man. And big up to your extended family. We always got time for that. We always got time.
I think it is important because the world today, if I have seen the world place value on anything, it's one thing, and it's the dollar. Okay, so everything else does not matter. So to have somebody dedicate their time, their life in expressing love and putting in the work for you to feel loved, I think it's one of the most important things that we have lost. As it's an integrity for me that we lost, that we need to go back and start looking at. I mean, for the reason why we go to church and all of those things, if we cannot express it, if we can talk about love and not bring ourselves to express it, then we shouldn't even talk about it.
Word. DC, my man. What took you there?
Well, DC, I went because of my passport. Well, clearly, without this, my life is limited. My movement and all of that, and I'll be termed an illegal immigrant. So clearly, I had to go back to DC. One, because it is the only embassy that I can go to have this thing done, and it's in DC. So I have to fly all the way, from Portland, Oregon to DC. But it was beautiful experience for me to have, flown all over the United States to DC, with my wife, and it was so sweet. Flying is virtually part of me, so it was a beautiful experience. Before I proceed, let me say a big thank you to Phoebe Sam, who is part of the embassy, the Ghana embassy staff. She's been amazing. I don't know whether it's me, but I had I had a great service throughout the process. The respect, the honoring, it was timely. I was told that I was going to get a passport in 5 weeks. In 3 weeks, I got it. Nice. So I want to send my respect to the entire embassy, and then with a great honor.
Well, I'm pretty sure they have a Twitter account, so they'll probably hear that. Cheers, guys. You were there to get your passport renewed, but that was not the only building that you stepped into. Am I right?
Definitely no. We were in the Hyatt Place, K Street. Yeah, and 15, I think. Yeah, so we were 5 blocks from the White House. Yeah, it was a beautiful enclave with, if I have no idea about what architecture means. I can't speak to it in the area of, authentic data, but these buildings are beautiful, look authentic. clean environment. It was exciting. I mean, the energy was just welcoming, you know, just taking it in. I just going out and taking the energy in was just amazing. It was a beautiful place to be.
Weren't folks calling you Wesley Snipes and whatnot?
Well,
Hey, I like Wesley Snipes.
You're from Africa, and then you walking on the street of Washington, and the first experience with Washington was for me to have seen it on TV, and then here was I walking on the street of Washington, and then you are called Wesley Snipes. I mean, like, whoa! I mean, this is a wow factor right there. But I could only appreciate it and then enjoy the moment as it is. You know, I became a one-day celebrity, of course. I enjoy it.
You know what? I think for you trivia fans out there, I think my favorite Wesley Snipes line is from Blade 3 when they ask him who's in the White House. For you fans out there, you'll enjoy that. I believe you stopped at the African American History Museum. Is that accurate?
Yes, I visited the museum just to check out, as you know, part of my curiosity in life, because it's important. Knowledge it's needed, and I believe that if there's anything to chase, it's knowledge, because knowledge defines a lot of things, your identity, where you are, where you're going, and all of those things are clearly important areas for me. So anything that defines knowledge, I really want to know. So the curiosity obviously took us there. Go check out what the situation was there.
Now, we've chatted offline, but your thoughts, your experience when you and your wife checked out the museum.
Well, Cujo, I've looked at what defines museum. What is it? What is it communicating? When we say museum, I mean, there are museums in certain geographical locations, and those museums, what those museums contain are not coming from those places. So, for instance, you will see certain artifacts from Egypt in certain museums in certain countries. So, so for instance, if I went to Italy and I saw something from Egypt in a museum, what is that communicating? How would I perceive that communication? How am I taking that communication in? You know, so I don't know what museums are. I don't know what they are communicating, but we've seen things around, and they have names. They have all kinds of things they are showing, but I don't know what those things mean.
Well, what was your experience when you went in the African American history? What did it make you feel? Were you enlightened? Was it a dark cloud? What are you thinking?
I saw a consistency of books I've read back, you know, in schools as I saw a consistency of slavery that I was taught back in school. And I have always worried and questioned if that issue about slavery was just an activity, was an intervention. What was it? Does it really define a history? Is it the foundation of history? Is it the foundation of my history? Is it the foundation of African history? Is it the foundation of people who have defined as Black people's foundation? I don't know. Do I have the right to question? Maybe yes.
Okay, this is an interesting one. So let's break it down into two parts. First of all, how did you feel? And were you compelled to explore more or leave? Let's go there first.
Anything that would have me wake up to make me feel that everything that there is to me is slavery, is slave, is very depressing. There's no enthusiasm in me waking up, and then the first definition of who I am per what has been defined as color, it is translated into slavery. For me, it's a demeaning position for me. How is it possible that the who I am first seen as either a slave or the culture from which I am born from is slavery. There's no strength. There's no greatness from where I am born from. It worries my soul if I have to always wake up with this mental orientation.
I want to be careful that I don't ask any leading questions on this one, because I think your opinion is both needs to be heard and needs to be heard from you. What would you say is, we'll leave this on a cliffhanger. A history in slavery obviously puts you in a position of victimhood. It robs you of your pride and your power. Let's leave it on a cliffhanger. You said your wife went to the museum. Next time we chat,
it does not steal anything away from me. It make me see how ignorant this world has become. You know, things we have consumed as information and how it has impacted us, affected us. It is important that we start dealing with these things. You know, the psychological effect, the emotional effect. How does or do all of these things translate to the who I have become today? If I have to take this in every day, I will become a sick person. If I have to wake up and say I have lost my root, my integrity, and all that is left in definition is that I am a slave, because my ancestors at the point were captured, tortured, killed, suppressed, and all kinds of things to become slaves. Now, in the area of activity, people were beaten and all kinds of things were done. Inhumane things were done to people. And clearly, these things are being done today. Now, all I'm saying is that how did that, how those activities that happened, how did that become the foundation of an entire continent?
That's the one right there. You know what? We got another seat, and I think your wife was there too. So let's invite Ann to our next chat, and let's leave that as a cliffhanger. If you're joining us, thank you. You're in for a conversation, aren't you? I'm going to chew on those words, brother. I am. And let's revisit them on the other side. Does that sound right?
I'm really open to any type of conversation without the need to express ego, anger, superiority, authority. We should just have an open, civilized conversation.
Have you met the U.S.? No, I hear you. Cliffhangers for our fourth chat, and of course, Mr. Torsu there has a Twitter account, and you should chat him up because we are knocking on a lot of doors. So that would be Kwabla, and of course, you know me as Cujo or Kojo if we're over in Ghana. So cheers, guys. I appreciate you, and as always, my man, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, Kujo.
That's my pleasure. It's both of our pleasure. All right, brother. I'll catch you soon, yeah?
Yeah, and then